takes it in overtime. Brady can chop, breakaway shoots, scores!
Welcome to SENS Talk. My name is Brandon and I am your host. Before we get into tonight's recap between the Ottawa Senators and the New York Islanders, I just want to mention this really quickly. Thank you to everyone that nominated us for 3 separate categories at the 2023 Ottawa Faces Magazine Awards. If you want to continue supporting us, we'll put a link in the description below and the comment section down below. That will bring you to a page where you can vote for us. We're up for Best Blog, Best Sports Podcast, and Best YouTube Channel. If you wanted to vote for us, you can do so by clicking that link. Thank you very much for your support. Now let's get into tonight's recap. Before I dive into the game recap, I want to mention a few important news items. Firstly, Josh Norris is out for the year with, you guessed it, yet another shoulder injury. Look on your screen right now, going through the neutral zone, there's a little nag, freak accident, costs him the rest of the season. And no pun intended, the organization and the player Josh Norris have to shoulder some blame for this situation, okay? I'm sorry. The organization had to protect their asset much better, especially after how Shane Pinto was dealt with last year with the same exact injury, a shoulder injury. Josh Norris got a first evaluation, said surgery. Second, said surgery. It was reported that Norris went to multiple doctors until like the 4th or 5th doctor reportedly said that he can play after a little bit of rehab, which he did. He came back in the expected timeline the doctor gave him, and then in his second game gets nudged and he's out for the year. So it's a blessing in disguise, because obviously you don't want to see Josh Norris hurt. He's a big part of his future. He's a core player. He's a 30-plus goal scorer, and you never want to see a guy get hurt. But at the same time, maybe this surgery can keep Josh Norris from getting repeated injuries to his shoulder. I think this shoulder surgery can really help him in the long term, and he should be ready to go before next season. And I would assume at the very latest during camp. So once again, you don't want to see a player get hurt, but it's very obvious with the way he got hurt again, a little nudge that he wasn't healthy to begin with. The team wouldn't even let him take faceoffs, okay? That's a red flag right there too. So once again, clearly he needed surgery. He's getting it. Get better soon, Noof. Hope to see you before next season begins. Now, continuing on with some very upsetting news, assistant coach Bob Jones has been diagnosed with ALS. It was announced the other day, and, we're with you, coach. It's heartbreaking news. He's going to stay with the team, which I think is great. You never want to see something like this, and the whole Senator community, and frankly, the hockey community, Bob Jones, is behind you. We're with you, and, it's just an absolute tragedy, and good on you, Bob Jones, for coming out in public about this to bring awareness to the cause of ALS to hopefully one day find a cure. But once again, just some heartbreaking news. My thoughts are with Bob Jones and his family. Now, moving on into the game recap now. Some positive news. Ridly Greig makes his NHL debut. He starts on the second line with Alex DeBrincat and Claude Giroux. I think this is the perfect situation for Ridly Greig. It is National Hockey League debut. Obviously, top 6 is a little tough. We saw what that did to Shane Pinto earlier this year. But with a guy like DeBrincat and, of course, Claude Giroux, 2 guys that are, a future Hall of Famer and a 40-plus goal scorer on multiple occasions, does not get better than that for your first NHL game. Let's get into the first period of play, and let's go 15 minutes in. With about 5 minutes left in the first period of play, a shot from the blue line finds Pinto out front. He's there. He backhands it off a deflection, puts it home for his second goal in 3 games. Ottawa strikes first. It's 1-0 Senators. And by the way, this is a 5v5 goal. Ottawa has not scored many even-strength goals as of late, so that's huge. But more importantly, Shane Pinto, 2 goals in his last 3 games after not scoring in 14 straight. That is massive for Shane Pinto. Ever since he's been drawn down to the third line, he's looked like his old self. Much more comfortable, much more poised, much more confident. And, obviously, thrusting a rookie into the top 6 in the National Hockey League is tough. And yeah, I know that we put Ridly Greig in the position today, and by the way, he looked fantastic. We'll get to that later. But my point is very simple. Shane Pinto looked great defensively. He didn't look out of place. He's obviously an NHLer with a lot of skill. But offensively, he lost his confidence. And that makes sense. They're playing against some of the best players in the world in hockey if you're in the top 6 as a centerman. So it makes sense, especially in an Atlantic division full of great centers, that he lost a bit of his offensive confidence. But defensively, he never missed a stride. Now, offensively, like I said, did not look good. But on the third line, he's looked much more comfortable. And he has a guy like Batherson there with him now as well. as he's been demoted to the third line. So he has some scoring options there too. He's looked better in the last few games on the third line. I'm really excited to see how Shane Pinto finishes the second half of this NHL season. He's looked great this year, and it's great to see that he's finally getting some goals in the back of the net again. Let's go to the second period of play, and 4 minutes in, Ridly Greig, I told you we'll be speaking about him soon. Ridly Greig takes a shot. Varlamov makes a stop with a big rebound right to Claude Giroux, who puts it home. Ottawa strikes 2-0 Senators, and Ridly Greig gets his first NHL point, and Ottawa leads 2-0. Ridly Greig, what a moment for him with the family in the stands, father and mother. What a moment. Cannot be happier for the former first-round pick for your Ottawa Senators in his first NHL game. Congratulations to Ridly Greig. By the way, Jake Sanderson gets his second point of the game as well on the goal. Secondary assist on the power play goal. Ottawa leads 2-0, and the rookies are helping the Senators win. But what a moment for Ridly Greig. A great chance here. One of 8 shots he had tonight. Varlamov, big rebound. G-Money's going to put it home, cash it home, and Ottawa leads 2-0. A few minutes later, unfortunate news here for Cam Talbot. He makes a right pad stop, and clearly he tweaked something. He left the game, did not return, and was later confirmed to have a lower body injury. It's really too bad. He looked much better today, especially compared to his recent performances, which once again is really unfortunate to see an injury to Cam Talbot, who's battled with injuries throughout the season. He missed the first month of the NHL season, for example, so hopefully it's nothing major. But because of that, Anton Forsberg steps in, and then a few minutes later, unfortunately, the rusty and cold Anton Forsberg lets in a goal here on Brock Nelson. Not really Forsberg's fault. Ottawa cannot clear the front of the net, which I don't know how many times I've said that in the Sens Talk game recap. Alex DeBrincat, in my opinion, is to blame. He lost his man. Brock Nelson takes advantage. The Islanders cut it to 1. It's 2-1. Going to the third period of play. We go to the third period, and Ottawa takes care of business. I didn't really think we were going to lose this one in that third period. Ottawa really locked it down, and when Forsberg was called upon, he made the big stop. As your Ottawa Senators take down the Islanders 2-1, snapping a 2-game losing streak. And oh boy, let's get to the game notes, because Ridly Greig was fantastic tonight. I kind of alluded to it before. 8 shots tonight, tied for most in an NHL debut and NHL history. 8 shots tonight for Ridly Greig. What a performance by him. He was all over the ice in both zones. Defensively, he looked good. 2 takeaways, 2 blocks as well. Offensively, got a point, had 8 shots on net. He dominated both ends of the ice. And for a rookie playing his first NHL game in the top 6 against tough competition, what a great performance. You cannot draw it up any better for Ridly Greig. And, of course, you're with DeBrincat and Giroux. But, you know what? Honestly, sometimes players don't have chemistry together, even if they're elite players. No. Giroux, DeBrincat, and Ridly Greig had great chemistry. I would be shocked if Ridly Greig is sent down anytime soon. I absolutely see him sticking around, at least for the short term. He's definitely earned it after tonight's performance, and they really showed some good chemistry as well. I think Greig could have scored twice at the very least and gotten a couple more points as well. So a really great performance for Ridly Greig in just under 14 minutes of ice time as well. So really impressive. Got some power play minutes as well. So overall, could not have asked for a better NHL debut for Ridly Greig. So congratulations, and for the family too. Just what a moment there for Ridly Greig. Just an incredible moment and an incredible night for Ridly Greig. Now let's get to Jake Sanderson, another Senator rookie. A 2-point night for him. Just a casual game. I mean, he makes the game of hockey look so easy whenever he's out on the ice. Such a flawless skater, so confident with the puck, and I encourage you, if you don't do this already, do it. Next Senator game on Friday against the Leafs. Watch Jake Sanderson in our own zone, in the defensive zone, how he's along the boards. If he has a lot of pressure on him, watch how he gets out of the situation. He does it flawlessly. He has 2 guys on him. He somehow gets out of it and creates a chance on the rush going the other way. He's truly an elite talent, and Ottawa got the 2 best players, in my opinion, in the 2020 draft. Tim Stützle and Jake Sanderson. Just knocked it out of the park, Ottawa Senators. I mean, knocked it out of the park. Now, speaking of knocking out of the park, Anton Forsberg knocked it out of the park today in his relief appearance. He played the second half of the game, made 19 out of 20 stops, and he looked fantastic, especially in that third period. Like I mentioned, when he needed to make the big stop, he did, and he made some key ones especially. And in that last 30 seconds, he made an absurd stop to save the game. So Anton Forsberg, kudos to you. You absolutely deserve the next start regardless. If Cam Talbot is ready to go, he looked really good tonight, and he definitely earned that next start. And, you know, Ottawa has needed a game where the goaltender steals it for them, and you could arguably say that tonight Anton Forsberg stole the game for the Ottawa Senators late in that third period of play. Now, like I mentioned already, the next Sander game is on Friday against the Toronto Maple Leafs. So we'll leave it at that. We're already rambling for probably, 5-7 minutes. So we'll leave it there. And I will see you all on Friday when Ottawa takes on the Toronto Maple Leafs in the Battle of Ontario. That one should be a good one. I'll see you all then. Go Sens, go.